Hello everyone. In this audio, I am sharing the notes of EDU 118. We will start now. Factor 1, relationships with teacher colleagues. Main points are 1.1, lesson topics. 1, interview technique. 2, inauguration of new teachers. 3, supervision, guidance, encouragement and repatriation. 4, the management of the motivation of assistant teachers. 5, high expectations from assistant teachers. 6, promoting teachers ethics. 7, guidance for teachers of different tendencies. 8, teacher welfare scheme. 9, in service training of teachers, the search for needs. 10, techniques and efforts to create unity. 11, relationship to internal teacher unions, groups and subgroups. 12, teacher meeting. 1.2, objectives. After studying this component, you can do the following. 1, when hiring a teacher, you will know what to look for. 2, new teachers will know the how to guide. 3, monitor teachers' schoolwork in real time. 4, encourage teachers for their schoolwork. 5, keeping in mind the inherent qualities of each teacher, you will use those qualities for the development of the student. 6, you will implement various schemes for the welfare of fellow teachers. 7, you will know the purpose and benefits of working collaboratively with all colleagues. 8, the need and importance of the work of the teachers union. 9, identify and participate in it. Next point, 1.3, introduction. Human relations is the key to management. You may have noticed its importance in your reading of the fundamentals of management and the literature provided for the study of work. What role do you have about the human element as the headmaster of a middle school? Generally, their details can be as follows. 1, teacher associate. 2, students. 3, management boards and committees. 4, non-teaching staff. 5, parents and other non-governmental organizations. A well-versed headmaster establishes an effective and cordial human relationship with all of these elements. In this book, we want to see how he does it. Of all these factors, the most important factor is the cooperative teacher. The head office has all the trust in this unit. That is why it has to be considered first. When does the headmaster's relationship with these fellow teachers come from? If you think carefully, these relationships come from teacher interviews. Interviews are the first interactions we have with teachers. The teacher tries to estimate all the abilities, skills, attitudes, thoughts and ideas that the teacher has and recommends that he be selected as a teacher and sometimes insist. How these first dialogue works are the first step in human relations. Next point is 1.4, contents. The first point in 1.4, interview techniques. First, interview. Interviews and interviewees have little faith in interviewing these days. Of course, it has different reasons. In some places, it is already decided who to appoint. But to hide this and to pretend to be impartial, the interview is structured. The members on the board are not necessarily experts in the subject. Therefore, inappropriate questions are asked and the candidates who have come prepared are disappointed. If you had not come to the interview, they would have felt better. And in this way, someone is selected. The board does not know whom to choose for the candidate, and then the decisions are taken. That is why the confidence in the interview flies. Given this fact, we can say that interviewing is an essential factor in making good choices. So, it is important to follow some hints. The selection board must take the interview process very seriously. They should be considered together in advance. You should outline how to conduct an interview, considering what features should be in place of the candidate. Questions should be asked accordingly. The picture of how to be a candidate for the place to be selected is clear and the cache can be fixed. Questions are very important for the interview to be effective. If the questions are linear, the candidates will try to answer the questions. If the right questions get the right answers, the satisfaction of the interview will be for both the questioners and the respondents. So the interview will not feel frivolous. Sometimes a candidate makes an impression on the selection board with an attractive personality. This can have the same effect when considering other factors. Attractive personality is a virtue, but the selection board must be aware that it cannot be decisive for selection. Otherwise, the choice based on single or finite points is likely to be fatal. The decision should be taken after taking the interview as a whole. In order for the interview to be effective, the expert on the job for which the candidate should be hired must be on the selection board. It builds up some horizons with your mind from your experience. Is and following him, he asks questions. The opinion of the candidates that he can decide who is fit for this particular task is important. Also, the person under whose direction the other candidates will work should take the test and come to a decision. How does he feel about him being a candidate? Not only the interview but also the candidate's application is spoken. The request asks for the information he expects. Therefore, the answers in the applications are helpful in determining the status of the candidate. Those answers require careful study. It is also important to look at the testimonials that are attached to the application. Of course, the complement to it must be considered thoughtfully because these testimonials are very specific. They are often slippery and sloppy. It is important to take this into consideration. Applications and testimonials are only written well. They do not notice the errors in the candidate's position. Its faults are not understood. Interviews make it helpful. Therefore, both the interview and the application are useful. Both of these should also be given preference for proper selection. The headmaster has to act like a cricket captain. The captain of the cricket team takes great care when selecting his team. He strengthens his team by choosing the best batsman, penetrating bowler, and agile fielder. Moreover, he knows that the team is not rigid enough by choosing only a batsman or a bowler. So he makes a choice based on their specific criteria. Of course, to do this, he has a plan of what each player performs in different matches. They know the skills they show, their abilities are familiar. This makes it easier for team selection. But it is difficult for a headmaster to choose his efficient team. Those who must choose are not available, so he has to make a choice with his autism. The candidate coming forward is unfamiliar. His predecessor has no idea. Some don't even have the foresight. Then all that is in the interview. This interview is very important to be transparent. How do you understand the intimacy of a candidate to become a teacher? How do you know this his attitude and attitude? This ask can be done, this task can be done by asking him questions and provocative questions. These questions will certainly help in determining his intimacy. Second point, selection committee. In order to complete the interview, a selection committee is required to ensure that the appointment of employees in terms of Regulation Act 1977 of Maharashtra Private School 9/2 says that the appointment of teachers and non-teaching staff in the school, excluding the principal and deputy principal, shall be made by the committee. Also, when referring to the school committee, the third C mentioned is one of the appointment of other staff by the headmaster. The headmaster has a key role to play in this regard. Since he is the designated secretary of the school committee, it is his responsibility to carry out all these transactions. In the school committee, the institutes are representative of the drivers and according to the seniority. The teachers' representatives are also from time to time. Therefore, this school committee can perform the functions of the selection board in the proper capacity. Some organizations, in keeping with the rules of the government, are acting according to their constitution. Their selection boards are generally representative of everyone. The school committee has a teacher representative. He is certainly useful as a subject matter expert for his subject. If the subject does not belong to him, the cooperation of other teachers can be taken. He does not think anyone will oppose him. That is, the board of directors shall consist of directors, principals, and subject matter teachers. The director of the organization generally considers the attractiveness of the candidate. His personality is important to him. They think that being conscious will lead to class control and discipline. Their emphasis is naturally on the personality. Of course, this is necessary but not decisive. The subject matter is experienced. He is known for the nuances of his subject. Moreover, each subject has some basic assumptions, theories. Following them, he prepares the questions and asks the candidate. He tries to determine whether the candidate has a basic knowledge of the subject, because the teacher must know the subject of the topic to be taught. Otherwise, how will he stand before the children and what to teach? The subject asks him various questions. Based on the candidate's ability to answer, she is justified and given this. The subject matter gives a favorable or unfavorable decision about him. The headmaster then monitors the candidate's academic life performance. What was his speed in his subject? Did he present some projects? Do you see any of its features? In this inquiry, he will know the interest and depth of the subject. It is important to know that the students he is standing in front of are just listening to the parrot, or that he is going to boost their intelligence. The headmaster needs a teacher who is supportive of you. He wants the students to be thoughtful, and he is interviewing from that point of view. Directors, principals, and subject matter experts will sit together and think and come to the right decision. This decision will be of interest to both the institution and the student. It would be beneficial to think of their cooperation spirit. The quality of the school depends on the teacher. This should be emphasized by the headmaster. Other members should be convinced, even if it does not come for fruition. After selection, the candidate will come to the school as a teacher and begin his duty as a teacher. It is not the job of the principal that ends only by interviewing and selecting. If this new teacher is experienced, it will be easy to adjust. But if there is no experience, then the headmaster has to work with the guidance of the partner in the school progress. Point number second in 1.4, new teacher inauguration. In the beginning, the headmaster will be interested in the new teacher who has joined the school. His responsibilities will make him understand his subjects, his class, and school expectations will give an idea of this. Explain the practices of the school in general so that teachers will have to feel confident. He has come to feel good that he has come in a good environment and is getting the right support. He will not feel burdened by his work, but he will feel that there is potential and he will be satisfied. But the headmaster knows that he will not run this far. Just as a newcomer needs to be consciously monitored, it is important to keep an eye on this teacher. As soon as he starts to provide real knowledge, he realizes that our knowledge base is lacking. It is like stored water. The visible doesn't flow, the vibe doesn't flow. Some special efforts must be made for this. Someone should seek guidance from this. Besides, the statement should make it easy for students to accept this knowledge. The teacher must voice that the children sitting in front of will cheer. If it is not, the novice teacher should be guided by the principal and supervisor. The senior teacher of the school should be assisted in the inauguration of this teacher. This lesson should be viewed by this teacher. Different features should be taken into consideration. That is, he will automatically understand your flaws and he will make a sincere efforts to correct it. The difference between the experience of the training period and the reality of the actual school should be explained. Regular lectures of experts can be organized every year for the enrichment of his subject. Explain how to use bibliographies in a library. All of this has to be done as a continuous process. While hiring a teacher in the school, he is kept on probation for a year or two. The headmaster should use this period for his proper preparation. He needs to be guided at this time, and let's see how much he can accomplish by entrusting new responsibilities to him. The headmaster will get an idea of his ability and ability to jump. It is only natural to make mistakes from novice teachers during this time. However, after realizing it, it can be decided whether it is in the interest of the organization or the EDU to continue its service. Every school has its traditions. It is the responsibility of the principal to maintain them. Moreover, the headmaster has to create something new according to his goals and objectives. For this, the cooperation of the faculty is very important to him. Having a family intimate relationship with trusting teachers will make it easier for them to achieve their goals. While doing this, new teachers will have to interact with them so that they can be hired. He must decide how to use them. At this point in the interview, he is the only one to make the guess. The new teacher needs to decide immediately where he or she will fit into the school system. There are many departments in the school stewardship in which the new teacher needs to be given an opportunity. That means he will also be excited and ecstatic and cooperate. This division will take into account the trends and duties of a new teacher. In many places, the district headquarters association plans some programs for these new teachers. Subject committees are appointed. These committees study their subject thoroughly and decide a few things. It takes a few kits to be effective. The expert and experienced teachers in these disciplines consider the topics of teaching in this workshop, the tools needed for their successful and effective teaching, the questions they expect on that component, and so on. Each school also has subject-wise committees. Those are the factors of year-round planning. Discuss it together every month. The curriculum matters. These places explore alchemy in how to teach students easily and increase their confidence by allowing new teachers to participate. Most of the subjects are state level organizations. Those organizations consider curriculum, division, and improvement. These organizations organize and carry out useful programs like trips, camps, lectures, etc. They benefit both new and old teachers. If teachers from the same subject come together, they find answers to many questions and even understand how to overcome the same problems. The school should accept the membership of the subject organizations, and the headmaster should also look at how his colleagues, especially the new colleagues, will participate in it. If a new teacher comes up with a good plan, he should be encouraged. Mentioning him honorably in the faculty meeting will motivate him to do something even better. The realization that you have momentum in your business will move the teacher toward progress. He will feel continually awakened and then use it more and more in the eyes of the student. The headmaster always has to be quick to make all of this happen. A new teacher's position may have certain characteristics, an art he has embraced. It is made up of his hobby. The benefit is worth it to the school. Then the headmaster should discover these things and inspire him and introduce the students to this art teacher. Every time a new teacher goes in front of the classroom, he feels a kind of panic whether the students in the class will accept you as their guide or if they have a puzzle. Students take the exam very intelligently. Students indeed say students are the best judges. The teacher begins by recognizing how deep the water is. The students recognize. Are we going to stay safely in their hands? They feel the confidence of the teachers. This feeling is helpful to the controlling class. If this knowledgeable teacher cannot be created, he cannot control the classroom. He cannot create discipline in that class, and Nugent will cast a shadow on his mind. The student's perception that his or her time is being respected will build respect for the teacher, and the task of controlling will happen automatically. But if the teacher behaves promptly, the students will not be able to live without it. To prevent all this, the principal and supervisor should teach him what to do. He describes the situation at which Mahatma Gandhi was conducting his first trial, the time when he stood to question to opposite side witness. My head was reeling and I felt as though the whole court was doing likewise. I could think of no question to ask. The judge must have laughed and the vakils no doubt enjoyed the spectacle. But I was past seeing anything. I sat down and told the agent that I could not conduct the case, but even when the occasion was over, they did not sink. He turned his life on with patience and perseverance and led the successful leadership of his continent. Such instances will give hope to a frustrated teacher, and he will have to strive without stopping and succeed. But the task of motivating him constantly is that of the headmaster. He should make it a habit to prepare for the lesson. In this lesson, it is very important to think carefully about what to teach and how to do it effectively. Students must know how to get involved and how they will involved. This will be achieved through practice and experience as well as lessons learned from other successful teachers. But he must be aware that he should strive for it. The teacher will not take on a single role as the only guide of the student. Your students consider him a close friend. Not only that, but it should also become their resting place. Understanding the feelings of one another should become the way of life building. With the help of a student, his dreams can be realized and he will have to figure out the true meaning of his money. His school location will be solid. Next point in 1.4, supervision, guidance, encouragement, and Repatriation. When a new teacher goes to class, it is important to take into account the intellectual quality of the students sitting in front of them. He can understand this roughly in the opening for 1 hour, that Nick will have to tell your instincts. If there is a general category students, one has to raise the issue again to give many examples. Emphasis will be placed on review. School officials will have to look at his hours for this, observing the lesson and advising him the way he should go. Then his lessons will succeed. Writing on the lessons that have been taught is important. Some writing can be done with the help of a board, while some can be done through homework. It is urgent to check this writing properly, not just signing on as seen, because the imagery of the students should be clean and clear. For this, it is important to check the writing. The headmaster should check whether the work is done systematically or not. The quality of the school depends on it. In writing, it is important to know whether it is useful in understanding the basics of the subject. It should be done to bring about diversity and make these things stand firm. The planning of the writing should be prepared with careful planning. Students should find it an interesting and enjoyable activity without feeling burdened. From the teacher's book, the text in the student's book is not meant to be done. This is not the meaning of the writing. It is not his purpose to pay the children's debts. Writing is an deliberate process. Then how should we give writing work? How much should we give? Then it should be discussed with these new teachers. The headmaster and supervisor should be careful about this. Whenever a new teacher goes to class, does he have any fear that the headmaster will come to his class? If they come to class, can you do the teaching work properly? This fear causes his confidence to wane. This stage of a new teacher is understandable to the headmaster. The headmaster must reduce this fear. Call the teacher in his office to see the notes he has taken. He should be discussed and given necessary instructions. Of course, this should be done with affection and sympathy. This means that the headmaster is not meant to blame you, but to assure you that the headmaster is there to guide you, and if the headmaster comes, he will not go to class. Will organize your work. He worked well so that he would feel closer to the student. There is one more thing that can be done when looking at the texture of bag. The materials needed to determine the lesson will be most effective. Such instructions can be given to the teacher, tables, maps, various pictures, and so on. Some slides can be created, they can be used. This will make the topic easier. Students will understand the subject. Students can enjoy the knowledge of editing. In order to see if they have attained knowledge, it is necessary to make sure that they ask the right questions. Such questions can be discussed in advance. This is not to say that questions skills will be taught in training. It is important to guide him. Supervision became a laugh and everyone would try to put themselves in their work. An atmosphere of unity will be created. The work for the school will be accelerated and the traditions will flourish and constructive thinking. It was done with a sense of duty and spirit that his rituals emerge everywhere. This is very important in education. Without the emotional moisture, acting as a superior junior role would be a bit rude and the school would become a piece of artificial machinery without a conscious institution. Supervision of classroom teaching is an important task, but it is also important how the teacher behaves in the classroom, in the school area and outside the school. As a rule, the class supervision should be conducted regularly by the headmaster. Some points, categories should be used for this. After supervision, the teacher should be summoned to his office and discussed. If the teacher's teaching work is well done, then congratulations should be given to him. It is said to be a kind of incentive. Service without reward is punishment. The natural idea of a human being is partly that if what we do is good, it should be mentioned. Be aware of your patient for standing behind him, but it is not the only glory. There is no limit to quality, progress. There is always room for improvement. Teaching errors should be stated in the correct words. Discuss what can be done to improve it. To guide, the headmaster needs to know that the headmaster has to do the work of shaping the personality of the teacher. His manner of speaking, walking, and acting should be attractive. Only then will the skills in his place be effectively revealed. For this, he looks to the headmaster. He sees how the headmaster behaves in school, in the community, and elsewhere. He focuses on what features are revealed through his words and demeanor. This indirect guidance is also important. Of course, the headmaster needs to take precautions to ensure that this indirect guidance is good. They need to be aware that these behaviors can be detrimental to their behavior. The mark of their social status is reflected in the teacher's mind. The teacher in the school lives in the community. It has relationships with many organizations. He comes in contact with the masses in the area where he lives. He participates in many events at this place. If he performs a commendable performance in it, the headmaster should take note of it and encourage him. One factor in your family is that the teacher should support his or her progress as a teacher. This will make the school family more homogeneous and its duties will be more pronounced. This will benefit the school environment and keep the students in good standing. Next point in 1.4, managing the motivation of assistant teachers. The headmaster dreams of developing the school to become a reality. These dreams are not only beautiful and do not last, but they are also beautiful at the time they get into action. The headmaster needs to take thoughtful steps to make his ideas a reality. We have to look at past progress and think about the problems that came up and how they will not come forward. Then it is possible to accelerate development. Following are some points. 1. Various aspects of schoolwork. The focal point of the school is the student. The main consideration is the thought of his overall advancement. Since many parts are expected to grow, many departments have to be created in the school. In addition to the first academic department, the physical education department, the non-school examination department, the cultural department, NCC, or the department of kindergarten, school store, library, laboratory, audiovisual department, etc., are usually in the school. The work of those departments must be carried out efficiently and with control. Of course, teachers need to be interested in that work. They need to be prepared for this. This should be done by the headmaster in a planned way. Teachers need to meet and discuss with them on an individual basis. What can be done for the development of the school should be discussed with the teacher. All opinions must be understood with empathy. They should gather their opinions and meditate on them and then formulate a concrete plan. How to get help to make it reality is to be devised. Communicating with the teachers creates an atmosphere of trust. Also, teachers are motivated to think. The teachers start thinking that they are involved in the development of the school. It is their job and they move on and on. This is the way to make them work. Second point, functions of the subcommittees. Some permanent plans are in place for the successful delivery of school education to the student. Thematic commitments play a significant role in this. He should bring together teachers who teach the subject and set up their committees. Meetings of these committees should be held at least once a month. It should study the syllabus prescribed by the government and prepare its monthly component plan. Think about how many courses can be covered each month. This should be solved by the request of the actual working days. The teacher should work on those subjects. The headmaster should advise as much. This will make teachers realize that they have a responsibility and they will work in harmony. Each month we can check to see if we can work as planned, and teachers will find that what you decide is real. The richness of experience will lead them to maturity. An examination system will have to be created to see how much of the study is being completed every month. This is also part of planning. They will have to decide on a program paper considering the question paper, its nature, its duration, plans for examination. The examiners will have to study their findings to see if the work done by the examiners will be well organized. Any errors you may find have to be corrected. Students will have to find ways to implement where they fall short or what subject they find difficult to implement. This will increase the quality of the school. The teachers will surely be proud of the fact that we are contributing to the uplift of the school. Naturally, the idea of educational tools is indispensable when looking for ways to raise these standards. Tell the teacher to think about it and hand it over to the teacher. The committees of all the disciplines will formulate the tools by considering their topics. Other schools will also see and imitate this educational project. This will encourage teachers and they will create new literature with new inspiration. The headmaster should congratulate them on this matter and give them a testimonial. Third point, guidance for intelligent children. Provide all facilities to teachers who aim to enhance their quality by providing special and independent guidance to the intelligent children in the school. Principals themselves should be involved so other teachers will be encouraged. Students should be motivated to plan how to do this work. The latent powers that are in them must be awakened. They have to help their imagination get wings. They should also consider how to solve the theorems themselves. This work also makes teachers more efficient. Their intelligence also goes up. They become more and more skilled. In order to make school studies more productive, teachers should be motivated by the principal to motivate them. The result of the school should look satisfactory. Instructions or rewards should be given by the institute to the teachers whose results are excellent. Next point, sports area. Along with the school curriculum, the school should create a tradition for individual and team sports in the field. Since the student's enrollment in the school, his or her sporting skills must have been explored. It has to be decided on which sport it will be worthwhile. The sports chief must do this work with awareness. With the help of your colleagues, you need to think about how you can make progress by registering. That should give him practice. He should try to field with interest so that the budding player will come forward. His ambitions should be fulfilled by making him take part in the school competition. He must prove his stubbornness by winning everything he has. He has to get down to the non-school competition. It should shine at the district, state and country level. The teacher who pledged to make this preparation should be honored by the school. As with the preparation of individual sports, the preparation of the statutory sports should also be taken into consideration. Skillful children should be brought together to form a skilled team. Their hope should be increased by giving them knowledge of modern techniques and skills. They should be given a lot of practice. They should be given a chance to play through many competitions. That means their confidence will grow and enthusiasm will win in their place. It should also be appreciated by the headmaster. Attending on the field yourself should curb the trainees' talented players. They should be encouraged. The school ground should become a place to create players. Next point, examination of other institutions. Government drawing exams or some reputed institution hold examinations that will supplement the student's study. The headmaster should urge the teacher to prepare for all these exams. Since they want to do this after school hours, they should be of special assistance, donate financially, and make all the facilities available because these exams make the student brilliant and stylish. Their common sense grows. They are judged by your quality and they realize how much you can score in the competitive exams. The students who will achieve good results in these examinations and their teachers should be publicly honored. Next point, cultural events. The purpose of education is to make the student happy and to become an ideal citizen in the world of tomorrow. In this regard, the school must have a cultural department. This cultural department should celebrate the birth anniversary of the great and celebrating the glorious Vibhuti according to the school's tradition and goal. The virtue of these great masters commemorates their supernatural work and deepens the respect for them. Even if you follow in the footsteps of this ideal, life can be fragile. The mind develops, the vision becomes vast, contraction disappears, and the mind becomes pure. Artists are suppressed in children. Such cultural programs are very useful for giving them opportunities. Although cultural events indeed entertain students, artistic qualities are preserved. They can teach acting lessons. The unique joy of art comes from this program. Tomorrow's artists get ready at the school theatre. It is the teacher who maintains their hobby, so he shows where his performance is. The theatrical competitions are held by the government department. District councils organize them. Congratulations to the artist who participates in the individual and team awards. This adds to the tradition of the school. The directing teacher should also be appreciated. Next point is Science Hobby Board. Some students have a tendency towards science. They are trying to do something. The teachers of science should take away the Science Hobby Board and discuss, experiment, and perform some actions. This board should demonstrate how science can be applied in daily life. Some new replicas should be created. Projects should be undertaken in order to preserve this scientific hobby. Science exhibitions are organized at the district and state levels. Take part in them and showcase your specialities to the Science Hobby Board. They must do it with a free hand. If your students' reactions to this exhibition are remarkable, then they should be publicly appreciated. The teachers who paid for it should be publicly honored. The headmaster should discuss with teachers who teach science subjects how the Science Hobby Board will always function in the school. This is the great process of creating tomorrow's scientists. It will not go away at all. If India wants to move towards the science age, science hobby boards from different schools should be more efficient. The headmaster should encourage the teacher to plan a program organized to show them good scientific projects organized by science hobby boards. Science magazine should be made available to this board. That is, they will get an idea of where, how new experiments are going and will be inspired to try something new. Such students should be appreciated. The teachers who gave guidance and paid the labor should also be publicly honored. Next point is 8. Annotation section. The school has a visual section. The school programs offered by the radio or TV at these places should be displayed in the hall for different classes. This task should be entrusted to some teachers. They should carry weekly television program leaflets and schedule weekly programs on the instruction board. Please inform the format of the event, that is, the programs will be useful. Also, this section must have an overhead projector, a 16 projector, so science, geography, history can be simplified. Television programs are often presented in science, medical knowledge, etc. How to deal with these diseases such as physical, heart surgery, or cancer are presented. So we know many things. The daily weather forecast and the actual differences in the future climate through physical photos are revealing. These science tools are very useful in the process of education. These tools speed up the acquisition of knowledge, offer the realization of direct knowledge. Next point is 9. NCC, Balveer movement, etc. NCC, Balveer squad or social service team have to do a lot of social work. Therefore, children's care is maintained. These activities can be achieved through public cleanliness, social discipline. The students themselves do the cleaning of public places, village temples, and schools. An important mantra is to carry out that task honestly and with reverence without being shy about doing anything. This is a workshop on making a citizen of duty. NCC can be useful for displaying qualities like chivalry, physical ability, equilibrium, discipline, etc. There is an opportunity for self help lessons. These organizations maintain discipline in the management of the school. Traffic control works in big cities. Students appear to do so successfully. They also know the rules of traffic. These works also guide society. The community ensures that the school can do social work, and it promotes respect for the mentor teachers who create such students. Next point 10. School store. Many schools operate in a school store. It is run on a cooperative basis, so the students are familiar with the trading techniques. School stationery can be purchased from it. Information about purchase, sale, deposit, etc. is readily available. You have to take care of how much goods you bring and how much you sell and how much is left over. The teacher guides the students who run the store. They provide the necessary instructions. The headmaster gives them the timetable of the examinations, and then they have to work on buying answer sheets, setting their sales rates, etc. For that request, depending on the year, the stockpiling continues. The general public is proud of the fact that we buy goods from the school premises. In the end, the profits the repository spends on the development of the school. This is the thing that builds up the spirit of the school. So the teachers in the repository need to the help of the headmaster as a whole. This is how many teachers work in different departments. They get the opportunity to work in the area they choose. Of course, the headmaster has to fulfill the role of planner. They want to consider what qualities are in the place of their assistant teachers and how these qualities can be developed for the benefit of the school. This is testimony to their skillful leadership. Everyone is engrossed in constructive work so the organization can do well. There is an urgent need for the guidance of the principal, proper support, and love. The successful headmaster is the only one who can do this. He can be proud of the workload that all teachers carry. Fifth point in 1.4, high expectations from assistant teachers. Principals have many expectations from the teachers who work with you. Enrich their teaching experience and benefit their students from this richness. There is no limit to what can be put into students' possession. Teachers and schools will continue to provide them with sustenance and students will take them on board. If this is the case, the head teachers always have high expectations from their peers. The headmaster is the teacher who should come in time, go to the classroom on time, and all the hustle and bustle. All your colleagues are efficient, they love to work. If given sufficient freedom, opportunity, and encouragement, they will act like a mountain. As a manager, a positively liberal vision must first be adopted by the headmaster, so that same fellow will look different. You will treat him differently, he will treat you differently. We will now see how to do this. There are many problems in the field of education and some arise. Expect to find these solutions by exploring these issues and studying them thoroughly. Why does why does this problem arise and what is its nature? Also the reasons behind it are eternal or immediate. Who can solve them, etc. Many questions arise and it becomes necessary to consider them well. Not only does a school use these thoughts and behaviors, but it is also helpful to all as a guide. Problems such as school leakage, declining results of school, lack of expected progress in sports, and poor environment of discipline in school. It is important to collect information and reason about it. He should draw some conclusions from his observations. It should be discussed with your colleagues and then strongly suggest measures. Of course, this work can only be done by a knowledgeable headmaster with knowledge of research methods. When the exam is done, the answer sheet examinations are done by the teachers. Teachers perform these tests as per their skill and understanding. Then these qualities go to the classroom when all marks are available. The class teacher prepares the result sheet. He thinks his work is over, but the real work begins when the results are ready. The committees, which are subject wise, should find out which part is difficult for the student, which part is easier, and which part is not understood. What were the most common mistakes? A further study of how to avoid those further tests should be done. It is important to think about what constitutes a writing fault and how to remedy it. But this work is just as good as medical. The practitioner will have to find ways to do it wisely. The headmaster should give this job to a skilled and experienced teacher. Government officials announce changes in the curriculum, taking into account the changes in the situation. Since the changed curriculum designed to schools and solicits opinions on appropriateness, principals should expect that teachers from those subjects in your school should express their strong opinions. Of course, to demonstrate this opinion, it is important to know exactly the origin of the course, but many do not have it. They work with the same goal in mind to teach the lessons in the assigned serial book. But those who are true teachers should take note of what is happening in society and tell them how to have proper and complementary education for proper change. The principal should expect that there should be a teacher who is passionate about academic thinking. Some teachers are admitted to the service with minor degrees. Due to the situation, they are unable to get further education. The headmaster should assist them in pursuing further education as they wish. Of course, this need should be shared by the teacher. That means they will provide the necessary facilities and proper guidance. In a well equipped school, there are some knowledgeable and talented teachers working. The headmaster should stress their ideas and ask them to undertake some projects. If there is a small settlement near the school, a survey should be conducted based on some questions to find out the backwardness of the settlement. What work do men do there? What is the nature of women's day to day work? What do the young boys and girls do there? What is the standard of education among them? Are they an addict? Do young children get medicine there? Do misleading people have their minds sidetracked? What are their addictions? How can they be overcome? What measures can be taken to prevent their backwardness, etc.? Can be studied by the student. The area can be studied by undertaking various projects. The situation of the area, The measures to bring about development potential will guide the community. The school will truly become the center of society. For this, some teachers have to bend themselves and the headmaster has to be aware. Nowadays, magazines on many topics are becoming popular. There is a growing emphasis on the established knowledge of the subject. The study should note that this progress is rapid. Subject teachers should take note of this and write down the new knowledgeable records and paste them on the board and bring them to the attention. Also, the newspaper provides additional information on the Sunday issue, giving information on many topics. It must be noted new developments in the medical field, the value added in history research, some discoveries, space research, etc., should be archived by different stakeholders. Many new literary, many ancient poets and great men are coming to light in new aspects. The look at the instrument is taking a new form. Classical values are considered by the new measurement. New articles, new books are on the market. Keeping track of them requires the opening of new knowledge pools for students and teachers. You should buy these new books for the library. Teachers should be asked to suggest booklets can be prepared in the school. By the proper acquisition of this knowledge, teachers and students will get up to date knowledge and have a passion for discovering new knowledge. Principals should expect that teachers will work on projects that have skills, knowledge, and experience, but beyond that, his skills should be successful through many competitions, and the teacher should receive a home page, be honored, and receive a medal for personal mastery. Whether it is in sports, acting, skill, essay competition, or rhetoric, the principal and school will feel proud of it. As a result, the Jilla Parishad or municipal corporation will award them as outstanding teachers. There will be a state government or national level best teacher award. The headmaster feels that the teacher should shine in the ascending range. Therefore, the tradition of the school is brightened up. A new research teacher should undertake a thorough study of an academic problem. He should work under the guidance of a recognized university educationist. Always read and meditate. He cannot live without the ultimate joy of renovation. His freshman thesis will be eligible for a doctorate after the approval of senior experts. It will be one of the most fortunate moments in a teacher's life and will be recorded in the history of the school with the golden letter. In short, the larger the head jump, the higher the teachers jump.